So I also love just how this book opens up. I think one of the strongest examples to open up a book and really kind of put somebody in the mindset of what you're trying to go for. Can you please tell me about A Woman and Her Spoons?
Yes, I can. So there was once a lady called Mabel Gray who lived in Westminster, just outside of the city of London. Westminster then being a suburb of London and not fully in London itself. And she lost some spoons. And she was very upset about this. We don't know a huge amount about the spoons. We don't know what they were made of. We don't know whether they had particular emotional significance to her, but we do know that she really, really cared about them. Because having looked all over the place for her spoons and going to find her neighbours to ask them whether they knew where they disappeared to, she couldn't find them anywhere. So her neighbours suggested that she go and find a cunning man who lived on the other side of the river, and he apparently would be able to identify where her spoons were. And she arrives at this cunning man's house, and he says, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I actually don't know where your spoons are because that's not the kind of magic that I specialise in." But he says, "Don't worry, I know a woman who lives not too far from here, and maybe she'll be able to give you some advice." And then this woman says, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't help you either, but I do know of a third cunning man who can help you." And so Mabel goes to 3 cunning people in a day and asks for advice from all of them, paying each one and crossing the Thames several times to kind of find all these different cunning folk, until she eventually finds one who says, "Oh yes, I can tell you exactly where your spoons are. They are where they've been hidden."
Thanks, buddy.
Yes. And we're not actually sure what happens next. We know that she spent an entire day looking for these things. We know that she consulted a lot of people, and we know that she did eventually get an answer from a cunning person about where the spoons had gone, although it was incredibly vague. I like to think that she did get them back, partly because she made it very, very obvious to everybody that she knew that she was going to go and consult a cunning person about where these spoons had gone. And the cunning person said very confidently that they would turn up where they had been left. That's either because this person had the magical skill to get the spoons to return to her house, or because everybody knew that cunning folk worked, their magic worked and was very effective. And so the thief of the spoons panicked and just shoved them through her window while Mabel Gray was out. But either way, that's the kind of everyday adventures that people would undergo to go and find a cunning person to help them with their everyday problems. And it's amazing how often missing spoons turns up as an issue that people want resolved. But that's because, spoons were really important. It sounds silly now, but, people didn't own many objects, and any object would be quite expensive to make, whether that's either in the resources that it was made from or the amount of time it would take to make them. So losing something like that could be a real problem for a normal person living in London at the time. And she didn't have many other people to ask. She'd asked her neighbours for help. They couldn't help her. She couldn't claim her spoons on insurance because that had barely been invented at that point, and certainly not for something like spoons. And the alternative was to try to get hold of some more, which would be more expensive in time and money than going and consulting these cunning folk. So that's what she ended up doing. I really like this case, and it's the one I kind of open the book with because it gives an insight into lots and lots of different problems and mindsets that were kind of existing in the early modern period, and the kind of problem solving that the methods of problem solving that people engaged in.